Hello? Here. Where'd you lie? We hear the house. Looks like we have a woman with deceased in this bed. Appears to be a gunshot to the face. Check in this room back here.
Hello, please.
One, two, there. Yeah. Making good. I'm checking here. Okay. No, you're good. Wait. Okay. One more.
On January 4th, 2023, police officers in Enoch, Utah, conducted a wellness check at the home of the Haight family. Upon forcing entry, they made a horrifying discovery. 8 members of the family had been brutally shot to death. The small town of Enoch, with its few thousand residents, was shaken to its core. This was not the kind of community where such violence was expected, making the tragedy all the more incomprehensible. What made the situation even more devastating was the fact that the Haight family were beloved members of the community, known for their church-going ways and their embodiment of traditional family values. Their deaths at the hands of someone they should have been able to trust most left an entire town grappling with a question that had no answer. How could something like this happen in a place like Enoch? How has this all started? This case is one of many tragic instances of familicide, where one family member, usually the father, kills the others, becoming more common across the United States. These horrific events are often carried out by seemingly ordinary people who, when viewed from the outside, appear to live regular, even ideal lives. In the case of the Haight family, the perpetrator was Michael Haight, a man who outwardly seemed to have everything: a solid career, a family that adored him, and a life steeped in religious devotion. But, as is often the case with such crimes, the signs were there, if only anyone had noticed. Michael and Tasha Haight's story began innocently enough. The two met while attending Southern Utah University, bonding over their shared Christian values. Michael, with his business degree and a promising career ahead of him, was everything Tasha had hoped for in a partner. A missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Brazil, Michael had a reputation as an ambitious, dedicated man, and Tasha was smitten. They married in 2003, when Michael was 23 and Tasha 21, in a small, joyful ceremony at the St. George Temple in Utah. It was a marriage full of hope and promise. After their wedding, the couple settled in Enoch, a quiet, close-knit town where everyone knew each other. It was the kind of place where neighbors helped neighbors, and families gathered for church and community events. Michael and Tasha soon started their family. Their first child, May, was born soon after they married, followed by Bry, a son who was 12 years old at the time of the killings. Then came twins Sienna and Ammon, aged 7 at the time of their deaths, and lastly, Gavin, who was just 4 years old when the violence unfolded. The Haight children were innocent, their lives full of possibility and promise, until the nightmare that would shatter their family began. On the surface, the Haight family appeared to be the epitome of wholesome, all-American values. Michael, however, considered himself a patriarch in the strictest, most authoritarian sense of the word. Tasha embraced the role of a stay-at-home mother, a decision that aligned with her religious beliefs and her desire to be a devoted parent. Yet this choice also placed her in a vulnerable position, one that allowed Michael to exert complete control over her and their family. Tasha's life became one where every action, every decision, was influenced or dictated by Michael's iron grip on their household. Michael's controlling behavior extended into nearly every aspect of their daily lives. He demanded that Tasha cut baby wipes in half before using them, and even insisted on washing and reusing plastic bags. These seemingly trivial actions, however, were a reflection of his obsessive need for control and a manifestation of his broader financial manipulation. Despite the fact that Michael had a successful career in insurance, his reputation at Allstate was stellar, with clients going out of their way to do business with him because of his customer service. He still refused to loosen the purse strings. Even when he received a significant bonus just before Christmas in 2022, he chose to withhold money from his family, giving Tasha only $500 to buy gifts for their children, a meager sum for a family of 6. Tasha, however, made the best of the situation, using her resourcefulness to find thoughtful gifts for the children, ensuring that they would still have a meaningful Christmas. Yet Michael's stinginess, particularly in this instance, spoke volumes about the underlying tensions within the family. This frugality wasn't just limited to Christmas. It extended to every facet of their life. When Tasha spent more than the $300 Michael allocated for groceries, she became enraged. When she used some of her own money to repair a scuffed dining table, he became furious. This was a man who was constantly looking for ways to exert his power over his family, making them feel the weight of his control at every opportunity. Michael's financial abuse wasn't the only form of manipulation he used to keep his family under his thumb. He took Tasha's phone and car keys away to limit her autonomy. He even bought her a brand new car in early 2022, but only under the condition that she earned the privilege of driving it. Michael's behavior was not just controlling, it was isolating. He created a world where Tasha's every decision was scrutinized, and any attempt to break free of his grip was met with resistance and further abuse. Their breaking point. This pattern of control wasn't limited to Tasha. Michael's abuse was also directed at his children, particularly his daughter, Macy. Most fathers would go to great lengths to protect their daughters, but Michael's behavior was the complete opposite. Macy, who was just 11 years old when the abuse began, would be subjected to violent outbursts from her father. In 2020, he went as far as choking her to the point where she feared for her life. When Macy filed a police report following this incident, the authorities did nothing to hold Michael accountable. Instead, they gave him a slap on the wrist, advising him to seek anger management counseling, but taking no further action. This failure to intervene would become a recurring theme. In January 2021, Macy filed another report, this time stating that Michael had been driving erratically, swerving the car on the freeway while screaming at Tasha. The children were left with painful red marks from their seatbelts, and once again, Michael faced no real consequences. In December 2022, Macy filed yet another report, claiming that Michael had thrown her brother Ammon to the ground. Once again, authorities did nothing. Instead of taking action, they merely advised Macy to call the police if she ever felt unsafe. As 2022 progressed, the situation became increasingly dire for Macy. She was in high school, but her life at home was a constant turmoil. Michael pressured her to perform well academically, and yet, the emotional and physical abuse she was enduring left her in an impossible situation. She sought help from the authorities, the church, and anyone she thought might provide relief, but in the end, it was all in vain. No one came to her aid. Tasha, too, was facing a breaking point. She had been living in fear for years, trapped in an abusive marriage that had taken a significant toll on her emotional well-being. She had tried to leave Michael before, even sending him to live with his mother after a particularly violent outburst. However, each time she attempted to break free, Michael found a way to worm his way back into her life, using manipulation and charm to reel her back in. This cycle of abuse would continue, leaving Tasha with nowhere to turn and no one to help. Yet in 2022, something changed. Tasha began to take steps to escape the nightmare she had been living. She started saving up money from the small allowance Michael gave her, and she began to focus on herself, losing weight, getting manicures, and generally engaging in self-care. But Michael noticed, and he didn't like it. He became enraged, but Tasha didn't back down. She had begun speaking to an attorney, planning to divorce him and free herself and her children from the torment they had suffered for so long. It was in this final stage of planning that tragedy struck. Michael, who had spent years manipulating and terrorizing his family, finally lost control. He was no longer able to maintain the facade of the perfect patriarch, and the violence that had been simmering for years came to a horrifying head. On January 4th, 2023, Michael executed the unthinkable, ending the lives of his wife and children in a fit of rage. The events that unfolded on that fateful day are a tragic reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind closed doors, even in seemingly idyllic communities. Michael Haight's horrific actions are the culmination of years of abuse, ignored warnings, and failed interventions. It's a stark reminder of the importance of recognizing the signs of abuse, offering support to those in need, and holding abusers accountable for their actions. The Haight family's story is a devastating example of how the consequences of neglecting the signs of violence can result in irreparable loss and heartbreak.